and welcome back to another video. I am Louise and I have an assistance dog named Leo. And today I thought I would talk about wheelchairs. So I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, which just means that I use a wheelchair some of the time and I can still walk. So basically I use a wheelchair to make things more comfortable, like if I'm in a lot of pain or I'm like shaky and unsteady sort of thing, or if I've like got a lot of fatigue, using a wheelchair just makes it a lot easier and it like conserves a lot of energy. So yeah, so sometimes I do use a wheelchair just to make things more comfortable really. So how do I get around in my wheelchair? I'll show you. So if you don't know, I live on my university campus accommodation and I got this room specifically because of my disability. I didn't specifically ask for a wheelchair accessible room because at the start of the year I didn't have my wheelchair up here, but it is still quite good for accessibility. So I can pretty easily wheel under my desk and access it through that way. Most of the cupboards are pretty accessible to me by just wheeling next to them. And a lot of the appliances are within my reach, which makes it a lot easier to access them. One of the places that I can't really access from my wheelchair is the bathroom. The door frame is just too narrow to get my wheels through. And yeah, the bathroom is just not quite big enough that I would be able to get in and out. Again, when I first moved on here, I wasn't using my wheelchair, so I didn't specifically ask for a wheelchair accessible room. So I think there's another room in the building that is more wheelchair friendly, but I just work with what I've got. Okay, and so one of the trickiest places to access in my wheelchair is these cupboards right here. But after a bit of maneuvering, I think I've worked it out. So I like to wheel myself backwards and then I will just open door myself, and then that way I can open the cupboard and reach in. So this way I can open the cupboard door and it's not going to hit my wheels, and then I can just reach in and grab my stuff. I can't reach all the way up there, but I don't really use those top shelves very much. It wouldn't work if I tried to wheel in forwards because I would have to reach around the cupboard door and I can't really do that. So I can't really access it from going front ways in because then I have to like reach around and that's really awkward to do. The other cupboard is pretty easy to get to, but I can't really reach the top cupboards. And it's pretty easy to get around my room because it's so big. And so now I'll show you how I move around outside of my apartment. Getting in and out the door can be a little bit tricky. I try to prop the door open with my wheels and then kind of shove myself through by holding the door frame. The key is of course to pull the door closed behind you. In my building I have some automatic doors to get in and out, which is super handy. Okay, so I've got my wheelchair in the back and let's go. And here I'm just at a local mall. Elevators I have to take. I always have to make sure that I know where the elevators are and if the mall even has elevators. I have been to one that
didn't have an elevator. And I find malls some of the easiest places to use my wheelchair because of the smooth floors. A lot of the time it's more trouble than it's worth to use my wheelchair outside, but in a place like a mall it does conserve a lot of energy. And getting back in my door is also a bit of a trick. I sometimes like to use my foot to push the door open a little bit. It is a bit tricky because I have to angle myself so that my wheels actually fit through the door frame, because there's not a whole lot of room to spare. And that is how I get around in my wheelchair. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.